Hello everybody, the All Goofer here, and it's been a really long time. As you can see, I'm here kind of in a foreign land to any of you guys, but this is actually in fact a pretty old world that me and my friends started quite a while ago, long before my Java series world, and this is where I've been the last while. We've just been building like crazy, and this world has just been blowing up with all kinds of just cool builds, and I think it's finally at a point now where I can showcase it out to all of you guys. Now, be warned, it's not 100% done. There are still bits and pieces here and there that need finishing. As you can see, that castle on top of the mountain there, that is my friend's castle that he is building and doing everything on. His name is Jack of Blades, and between me and him, we've pretty much created this entire area. He's been working on the castle, and I've been working on the city. To kick this off, I guess I'll just show you guys here where it all started. Which would have been in this survival house. I started this survival series as soon as the Caves and Cliffs update dropped for Minecraft. This is Bedrock Edition, by the way. I don't know if I already said that, but this is Bedrock. So, yeah, we started this, or I started this world right as that dropped, because I, wanted to see the cool new Minecraft generations and all that, and I'm a huge Minecraft nerd. My friend Jack of Blades, joins my server, and he basically says that he's been itching to start a cool survival world too. So he joins up, we kind of combine forces, and as you can see in my top left hand screen, we travel out quite a ways to get to an area where we saw some cool mountain generations, and it was kind of just an area that we envisioned great things to come. So it all started here with this house. I built this up for me and Jack, and we lived here for a good long while. At first starting this world, I had no ambitious plans with the world at all. It was just kind of build up this survival house, build up a few of these farms and whatnot, and that was good enough for me. But no, as soon as Jack joined, and he immediately saw that mountain, and he knew, and he told me, I'm gonna build a castle on that mountain. So if Jack was going to be getting ambitious, then I was going to be getting ambitious too. And with every castle, absolutely needs a city and a kingdom. So it slowly just kind of, it started here with this house and some crop fields. And let me just... I'm a slow typer, I'm sorry. Let me just switch here to spectator, because I think that's going to make it a little easier to fly around and show you this in a timely manner. So yeah, a few farmlands and stuff went up, started reshaping the land a little bit. I won't go into that cave just because the note blocks in there are a little noisy, but that was our first villager trading hall. So we just got some villagers and stuff down in there to trade with, as well as our nether portals in there as well. But yeah, we'll ignore that for now. Not a whole lot to see down there. And then eventually I constructed this barn for the main purpose of storage. So as you can see here, this was mine and Jack's first bulk storage, and we shared blocks, of course, because, I mean, come on now, we're not greedy. We just kind of, yeah, shared everything we got, as far as either of us know anyway. Then in the bottom of this here is also our little stables where we were just collecting different horses and stuff over time, and area where we can smelt all of our stuff and all that good kind of survival beginner stuff. Quickly, this barn became not enough storage, and this house became not big enough for the two of us, being me and Jack, so we moved out. At this point, Jack had already started construction on his castle. It's pretty much the first thing he did once he got his basic survival gear stuff in order. And he's pretty much already moved in there, and that's where he's living now. And so I moved out of this survival house, and I built up this house, or this castle. I call it a castle, but I mean, it just doesn't compare. I mean, that's a castle. And I originally constructed this here to be a castle, and I think it looks the part. I think it looks alright. I actually really love this player home, and it's fully interiorized. Probably my favorite survival home I've ever had. But yeah, it's just, it doesn't compare to that castle. So Jack always calls it a manor, which is kind of funny. We kind of have an ongoing joke thing, because I call it a castle and he calls it a manor. And I think it works as a castle. It really kind of does. It looks somewhat the part. It's just that when you compare it with, yeah, that monstrosity, then yeah, this is, you know, just a manor. So anyway, believe it or not, I lived in that house for a good long portion of even the construction on the city. But yeah, going back there was just, it took too long, and I wanted something closer. And also, as I got, you know, richer in the world, I needed a nicer house, so that little farmhouse just wasn't doing it. So I constructed myself a castle. And immediately, if you have seen my Java series, you might recognize really this whole front portion here on the castle. In fact, even this side portion here, this is all reconstructed off of my Java world. I liked that Java house so much that I rebuilt it here. I just made it bigger. So I added like this addition here on the side with this tower and this barracks off to the side that connects to the city walls, which I think turned out so good. Like I said, this is probably, honestly, this is probably my favorite build I've ever, I don't know. This is probably my favorite single-handed build I've ever done in Minecraft. Although I have a few favorites. But this is up there, top 3 for sure. I really, really love the way that this castle turned out, even if it is just a baby castle. There's, you know, lots of courtyards and just lots of underpasses, flags. The building just kind of towers over you when you're here in the center of it. And there's really a lot to see. And like I said, everything has a full interior. So I may eventually do a cool little showcase of the interior of the place, if anyone is ever interested in seeing interiors. I think most people mostly just care about exteriors, and that's how I am. But I also do love to do interiors, and I think they're fun. But I really only think they're fun on my, you know, my base. Other than that, I don't ever want to do interiors. So if you guys ever want to see an interior for this, definitely let me know, and I will do a full walkthrough. It won't take very long. It's, you know, it's not huge, but it's enough to probably make a small video out of it. And there's some pretty cool features in there as well. But anyway, moving on. We've got a gatehouse right here as an entrance into the city. And we've got 2 of these gatehouses in total. So there's one here, and then there's one on the front of the city right where this little village is outside. Which, why don't we talk about that while we're here? So we got this little village outside of the city walls, mostly just for like the farmers and stuff. Little houses for the people who would tend to these crops. We've got a nice vineyard here by the riverside, so we need, you know, a farmhouse to tend to the vineyard. And then maybe this guy who owns the vineyard is also selling some wine here. And same with over here, this guy who owns some of these croplands is selling maybe some of their product here, and for some reason copper, but you know, that's okay. They can sell copper if they want. We also have this nice little cart here, which is loaded up with barrels and copper. And then we've got this little water mill here, which actually really isn't a little water mill. This is quite a large water mill, but I really like the way that this build turned out. Yeah, I think it looks very cottagey, very nice. It's right on the river, and of course it's got the water wheel, which just adds a whole nother vibe to it. So I think it's pretty cool. I really like this build, and really pretty happy with the way everything's turned out in this whole area. And then yeah, back that way we just got more farmland, some more various farmhouses, grain silos, and different things like that. Got another water mill right there with that building with the red top. We got an access over the river over there by my castle, as well as one over here Alright, moving right along, coming up here to, this is probably the main gatehouse. The one over on that side by my castle probably wouldn't be the main used gatehouse for the city. I would imagine this right here would be the main gatehouse. And under the walls of the city, you'll see I kind of have a bit of a dry moat that wraps around, but it doesn't wrap around the whole thing. And I don't know if this is completely due to laziness or whatever, but I think it looks kind of cool like that. I didn't really want it to wrap the whole build. I kind of wanted it to be spotty like that. As you'll notice, even on this side, I did continue some of the dry moat all the way along. And then this I just haven't finished. I haven't gotten back to this portion yet of the build. I've kind of, as you can see, done a lot of terraforming, and this was an entire mountain here that I had to tear out for, yeah, making the landscape look a little better, because we didn't like these mountains towering behind the city. We thought it looked kind of weird, so we've kind of decided to get rid of everything from this point that direction. And we're still working on it, as you can see. That's why I said it's not really 100% done, but the city itself and all the builds are 100% done, minus the castle. I can't take any, credit or responsibility for that, because that is completely Jack's. But just look how beautiful it looks, guys. Like, he is such a talented builder, and that it sets the setting for this. It sets the setting for this area just so well. Like, nothing looks just medieval and dark like that castle. Like, it sets the whole area into kind of a dark fantasy, which is what I was going for with the city. Very inspired off of my favorite anime, which is called Berserk. It's very much a dark fantasy, and I love the style of Berserk. It's almost like a Dark Souls or Bloodborne kind of a setting. If you've ever heard of either of those games, you probably have definitely heard of Dark Souls. But they're just dark fantasy kind of games, and that's really what inspired, I can say for sure, my portion of the build was Berserk. But Jack's, although I don't think he's ever seen Berserk, his looks pretty inspired off of it as well. Just a dark, gloomy, massive castle, it's beautiful. I love it, and he knows that I love it, but I don't want to show you guys too much of the castle, only because it's not finished. As you can see, there's a lot of work still to be done here, and Jack also plans on doing the full interior for this castle. So I suspect he'll be working on this for a good while to come. So I'm going to try my best to kind of not show you guys the castle yet until he finishes, and then if he gives me permission, I will absolutely come back and do a full episode showcase on just the castle, because I like it a lot. Wait for Jack's call on that, and we'll wait for him to finish construction of the castle, and then I'll show you guys a more in-depth, detailed view of the castle. So we're gonna do our best to kind of ignore it, but it is very imposing on the land, and you can't ignore it. So anyway, moving on. So we got the front gatehouse here, the main one, and then we'll work our way kind of to the other gatehouse through the city. So let's just go ahead and walk through here. We'll go with survival. There's something about walking through the city on survival that just isn't there when you're on spectator. I mostly just wanted to get a lay of the land and all that on spectator, but let's switch back here to survival to kind of get a more in-depth view from the street side of things. So we walk through the city, and like all cities, you're faced with multiple directions and choices of where you want to go. I tried to do my best to kind of guide the player along one main road of the city, while obviously also having plenty of other side roads and partial main roads for the player to explore. But as soon as you walk in, I kept this side the most open. It's got the nice sight line of the church right there, so I think this will be the path most walked as soon as you come into the city. But you know, there's other ways. You can go down that way, which leads you to a whole nother part of the city, or you can go down this way, which leads you to a whole nother part of the city. So like all city, there's just options and choices, and you know, go wild, go crazy. But I think I'm gonna take the main road here for now and go ahead and walk up towards the church. So we'll kind of make our way to the church. That's kind of the center point in the city. From here we have another pathway that goes that direction, which actually will connect you up to the castle eventually if you take this road here. There's just, yeah, you know, there's so many directions to go. This is probably one of my favorite sightlines in the city, is looking down this road up at the church. This is probably one of my favorite city sightlines, I should say, because as you'll see, as soon as we get up to the church and we turn around and look behind us, long journey up the steps, but here we go. We get right in front of the church doors. We just get a beautiful sight line, not only of the city streets and the way that it curves and all the houses curve along with the streets, which is very important, I think, in your building, is to have those nice curves in your city. At least for medieval stuff, I can say that, which is all I build. But look at that castle sightline there in the back, and granted, like I said before, this castle's not even done. All we can see really is some of the towers and walls of the outskirts of the castle. The castle itself is going to be kind of here in the middle of it, the main castle portion of it anyway, and that's going to, you know, really make it just pop. But look at how cool some of these sightlines are in the city. Just seeing the tower over there, or the towers, I should say. The many towers. I was talking about that main one in the back, but I mean, just so much. And so hopefully, you know, when this player explores the city, because when you're down, you know, in the midst of the streets and stuff, you probably will notice the castle at parts, but you might be, and I'm hoping you'll be a little bit more invested in what's right in front of you, that you might not notice that kind of stuff as much as you're going through the city. But this here is the highest point in the city, so you really get a good view of the castle up on the hill. And you know, this gives the player some more options. Again, we've made it to the church, which was in the first sight line that we saw when we come through the front of the city gates. The first thing that our eyes drew us to that we wanted to go to. And maybe, you know, you go inside, you explore the inside of the church a little bit and whatnot, and then you come back out and boom, there's the castle. And so at this point, your eyes might want to go and try and find a way to get to the castle, which granted is a bit of a maze in this city. I know my way, of course, but the player probably won't easily just be able to get there, because it's not just straight in front of us. At least survival wise, it's not just straight in front of us. We have to go down this road and go through that gatehouse and make our way around to a little Helm's Deep kind of bridge that brings us up to the castle, which we'll get to that when we get to that. But for now, we're in the city, so let's stay in the city. Let's just explore some of these other roads. Once you get up here, I imagine this is still kind of the main road wrapping around this way, which will lead us to just a little market stand area with stalls and stands and shops and whatnot all around. We kind of got the monks' living quarters here, where the monks would live, I guess, the people that take care of the church and whatnot. And then if you go in here, you probably hear the villagers. I'll just show you this real quick, because it's kind of cool. We got ourselves a little villager trading hall underneath of the church, which I think looks really nice. Quite pleased with this. Just a quick area where both of us can stop by and repair our tools and whatnot. And then of course we've got a pumpkin, automatic pumpkin farm here for our, I don't know why those are open, for our villager trading needs. As you can see, that's pretty much full, so it works quite well. Let's make our way back up. And yeah, again, we're just left with lots of different directions and ways to go. So you just kind of explore as you will. We'll just walk some of these streets. The city is too big, really, to visit everything. Like, there's so many directions, there's so many things to see that I can't possibly put it all into one video. So if you guys want a more detailed video of the city, definitely let me know. If you want to know kind of my thoughts in constructing the city, let me know, because if you're trying to construct a city on your own, it's a lot of work, and it's very difficult, and I think it's even kind of stressful on your mind. At least for me it was. Trying to make everything work together, and eventually, you know, come back and meet in the same spot. Like, the center point of my city is the church, and so all the roads kind of had to lead to that in some roundabout way. Not all the roads had to, but you know what I mean. It's just, I don't know. This is the first city I've actually ever completed in Minecraft. I've attempted many cities in the past, but this is the first city I've ever actually completed, which is pretty exciting. And you know, it's not the largest city in the world, as you can see. I mean, it is pretty large for a survival city, but you know, I mean, in the inner walls of the city, it's not like huge, although I think it's rather large. But then we got like this village here on the outside, as well as this little area here on the inside of the castle area. Like, there's so much directions to go and things to see, and even little secrets and kind of cool areas. Like, one of my favorites is right here. This little alleyway you go down, you're just surrounded by buildings on all sides of you. There's a little balcony up there, some vines growing up the side of the wall, and we got a cool little well down here. Just, I don't know, it's kind of a cool spot. It's completely insignificant, but it's cool. The atmosphere in here just really brings you into the setting, I think, and it's really nice. And there's all kinds of areas like that throughout the city. We go up here, we've got a cool little kind of a pillager type auction kind of a thing. So we've got some alleyways, obviously, one trapped in that wood cage, and then one in this little kind of enforced slave drive cage. I don't know. It's a cart, it's a wagon pulled by horses, with the bars in it where they would go and, you know, capture and pillage things and capture their hostages and whatnot. And so it's kind of just a cool little tribute to the pillager kind of lore in Minecraft. You could imagine that they had their own ties in the city, or they weren't completely hated in this city, but they actually had good roots, and you know, they came here, they sold off some of their product, like the allays, iron golems, or whatnot. And this is kind of a bit of like an auction area where you can imagine these streets were just filled with people, crowds, over here and over there. Over here you would, you know, buy your ticket for the auction, or if you purchase something, you know, you would buy it there maybe. And there's just, you know, there's just so much to see in this city that I think is pretty cool. And yeah, maybe I'll do a more detailed tour of this city. I'm just kind of running through it to just show it off a little bit and let you guys know that this is where I've been for the last long time. Since I haven't been on Minecraft in so long, you know, this is where I've been. So let's make our way now out of the city. I think we've explored enough of it. Let's go in this direction. And you know, there's still tons of roads we haven't explored. Down that way, and there's so much more. You know, we got a skeleton horse here. That's pretty cool. Anyway, this gatehouse here is what is going to lead you out into this portion of the area. which obviously out front of the other gatehouse was pretty much all farmland and farmhouses and things like that. In this area, or this section of the city, I wanted to make it look a little less populated and a little more kind of overgrown. So as you'll see coming out of the front gates, we got a windmill there. We've got my castle here, a little secluded. It's connected to the city, obviously, right here. That connects directly to the city walls, but it's in a more secluded area of the outskirts of the city where there's no more houses besides that windmill. The rest of it is just natural. And I really love that I did this because I love the way that it looks with all the trees and the bare land, but I'll tell you what, this was all completely done by hand. Everything that you see here, this terrain was all done by hand. If I, dig one block through most any of this area, it's just all hollow. Spent the time to make little cliff faces, just tons of different custom trees throughout here to really bring you into a new environment. Which is what I was going for, but these trees take so long to build. I mean, actually, in reality, the trees are pretty fast going up. It's just that, you make 5 trees when you've got this many, and you stand back, and there's no difference. And that's kind of what became a little daunting to me, was I didn't even notice when I would put a new tree up, because there's already so many of them, and yet there's still not enough. There needs to be more. But this is a problem for another time, because I don't think I'm gonna get to this anytime soon. Maybe eventually I'll finish this whole area, but I've had my fill for now of terraforming. I really just like to build. I like to build structures, and every once in a while a little bit of a terraforming project is fun. But this is it's a huge project. There's still so much left to go, and then this whole mountain still needs to be removed and terraformed over. And all this landscape, it still needs trees and bone meal and little details throughout it, so it's not just plain like this. But for now, I'm just gonna leave it. But I do think that this area did turn out, despite not being finished, I think it looks really nice, and it really provides another aspect to the city that you don't see at first glance. You get all these different custom trees, cliff faces, a river, which isn't supposed to be frozen, but because this was all a mountain biome, right where I built this river, which has snow tops on it, for whatever reason it just randomly freezes my water, which is really annoying. But in this area particularly, where it drops off a little bit, it really freezes my water up. So this is super annoying. I don't know how to fix it without putting lights or light sources around it, which I don't want to do, because I don't want to make it look like the river is lit up, because that would kind of be weird. But I don't know. I don't hate it for what it is, but I'm pretty annoyed about the biome that this is in, because the water just freezes up. And as you can see, it freezes up just in certain parts along the river as well, which doesn't make a ton of sense to me, but it is what it is, and I don't hate it. I kind of like just the look and feel of this area. It feels cold, it feels kind of dark, it feels woodsy, although it needs a lot more trees, but I think it's really nice looking. And then this eventually leads to an area where it just drops off into another river below. So yeah, this isn't the greatest view of it here, but on both sides of this kind of center rock, the river just drops off into that body of water. And the other river that we created right there, that runs right below my castle, drops off into the same body of water. So it's kind of cool that all of those are able to connect in the same way, and just lead to, kind of to the same area. But yeah, I think that's all there is to see for now for this area. Like, obviously there's still so much more to see, but I don't want to make this video too crazy long, as I feel like it already is going to be pretty long. And certain things like this, you could just go on forever, you know. And I'd like to go on forever, but I don't want to completely bore my my guests, my friends watching this. I don't want to bore you guys, so let me know if there's anything specific that you want to see, you know, interior-wise for my castle, or more detailed view of the city, or how I decided to construct the city. I can go into all that if anyone, you know, wants me to. For those of you who are thinking about building cities for yourself, you know, it's smart to take advice from people who have built cities. Even though I certainly can't talk and type. I certainly wouldn't say my city's the best. Not even close. I've seen some freaking amazing cities, guys. And mine's quite small, and there's so many things that I would have done different in hindsight, now that I'm finished with it. There's just, yeah. I love the way it turned out for what it is. And like I said, it's my first ever completed city, so that feels pretty cool to have a city that I'm proud of that is 100% done. City portion wise, you know, not all the landscaping, but city portion wise is 100% done. Eventually the castle will also be 100% done. But yeah, there's just things I would change in my next city, which, spoiler, is what we're gonna get into next. My next city. Obviously, this place is done. My work here is done. There's still a few things I could do, but, you know, I'm ready to move on to a new kingdom. So I'm going to be moving out of my house, which I'm pretty sad to do, honestly. Like I said, this is one of my absolute favorite builds, I think, that I've ever done. And it's sad to move out of it and start a new kingdom. But obviously, this is over here, and my kingdom's going to be way over there. My new kingdom, that is. So this just won't be able to act as my player home anymore, which is okay. You know, that's fine. Whatever. It's sad, you know. I'm gonna give my castle parting kisses and a good farewell. But I'm ready to move on. I'm ready to start a new kingdom. I've got some kind of designs in the making right now that I'm testing out on Creative Worlds to do my next kingdom, and it's going to be even more highly inspired for Berserk. So if you've ever seen Berserk, then you might have kind of a glimpse into what I'm going for. Very dark, very medieval, but yet also kind of having a fantasy aspect to it. But I'm definitely going for a more dark medieval feel for my next city, even more so than this one. And me and Jack are talking about it. I don't know that we're gonna collab on this next one. Obviously, I built the city here and he built the castle here, and that was great. I think Jack has his own plans for his next kingdom that he's gonna build, and he's kind of voiced to me a little bit anyway that he wants to build the city for his next kingdom. And I've kind of voiced to him that I want to try and build the castle and the city for my next kingdom. So I think we're both going to go our separate ways. I know for sure where Jack is going is back that direction once he finishes his castle, which will still be a while. But he's going to go back that direction. He's already marked out his area, and I think kind of has some ideas on what he's going to do for his next kingdom. I don't know exactly where I'm going to go yet. Now that I'm finished with this and I've made this YouTube video, I feel like I can finally put this whole city and kingdom behind me, and I'm just gonna go out in some direction and try and find, you know, I don't want it to be too far away, but I want it to be far enough away that eventually we'll connect paths to our kingdoms and it'll just be a huge world. But I want to go pretty far away, I think, and find a new spot that I can build my kingdom. which I plan on being much larger than this one. It'll be a project that I think, you know, I might never actually finish. I've got some huge plans for it, and obviously doing things in survival is pretty slow. Yeah, it's just slow going, so I think the city itself is probably going to be 3 or 4 times larger than this city, which is kind of crazy, considering that this city, I don't know what the time frame we've been working on this world is, but I think it's been a good couple of years since Caves and Cliffs came out. Or maybe I'm totally off on that, but anyway, it's going to be so much bigger than this. And then the outskirts of my city, I'm going to have just refugee camps for miles surrounding the outside walls of my city that just go on for miles. And this is another idea that I got from Berserk. They have this refugee camp at the Holy Tower, called something like that, that just goes out for miles because in their setting they're set in war times, and kingdoms are being conquered, and everyone's trying to go to the same place, the Holy See, which they think is going to kind of help protect them. And so there's just refugee camps outside the city walls, tents and bonfires and things that go just miles and miles out in every direction. And I kind of want to mimic that in Minecraft. I thought it was super cool, a really neat idea, and I think it's totally going to be possible to do that in Minecraft. So that's kind of going to be my next project. So yeah, I think that's about all there is to say, honestly. I hope you guys stick with me and continue to watch my videos in the future. Like I said, after this video releases, I'm moving on to my next kingdom, so I'm going to start completely fresh. You know, no house to call my own and no city to call my own. I'll be out in the wilderness and starting another city from absolute scratch, which is going to be fun, and I'm super excited for doing that. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope this video wasn't too boring or long, and I hope the content that we've created for you guys here was worth it. So let me know what you thought. Absolutely let me know if you want to see any interiors for like my castle here, or any more detailed videos of the city itself and how I decided to construct it. I'd be happy and even pleased to get into all that with you guys and my thoughts in building a city. So yeah, thanks for watching. See you guys later.